This video is titled My Own Hair Routine because honestly, this is the pure honest truth. You can watch hair videos of how other people do their hair, but in general, on general, everybody has a slightly different hair type. Nobody's hair is going to be exactly like somebody else's hair. What works for you might not work for other people. So, like, when you go to somebody for recommendations, or you're like, oh, somebody's recommendation, like, there's, a lot of YouTube videos are recommended to me, and the algorithm does like it when people ask queries, or they write a title that's search engine friendly, and I do title some of my videos this way, but I've decided for, like, the videos I'm going to do that, but for, like, the hair talks, I'm just going to talk more about, like, how you need to really find your individualistic hair routine. And a few years back, when I first started getting views on my videos, people would say, you need to watch the hair community. And I'd look at the hair community, and a lot of people would recommend products that I just thought were kind of expensive, and I don't see why I need those things. And as more time has, like, marched on, I've just come to the conclusion that if you want to buy more natural products, go somewhere like Sprouts, go on Amazon, buy your sulfate-free shampoo, but I do not see the point in spending $30 on, or like $60, like these high-end skincare, hair care things. Because I don't do any of that. And I have very good skin for my age. I haven't seen what my exact age is, but if I told you, you'd be shook to your core. Because I didn't follow the influencer advice. I just went my own way. And now, I'm focusing on my own plate lane life. Like, there's no such thing as different classes. This is a social construct. There's no such thing as, like, all these things that people use to, like, find different ways to divide each other. You get a little unpolitical. You get a little, like, into the self-care. You're like, man, people can fight to the bits over those things. I talked about this the other day. Higher power. That's where my life goes to now. I don't care about all the bickering points. No human is God.com is how I live my life. Seeking spirituality, and I don't need it from a leader. I need it from just, I don't know, you could read some of Rumi's poetry. Read Rumi. You want some spirituality in your life? Read Rumi. I don't know. I feel like when you find I've always loved Rumi, by the way. Amazing. Anyhow, deviating. My whole point is, there's always going to be somebody that says that you need to do this, you need to do that, and then a lot of people get all shooken up, and then they've turned everything into, like, the classes, like upper class, lower class, middle class. Get rid of class in your life. Don't live like that. Don't live according to class. The people that talk about social struggle, wanting to go against the upper class, they're wrong. The upper classes who worry about people that are poor, like, voting against their interests, they're wrong. Everybody's wrong. You know who's right? God. Not them. Live your life in a more peaceful way, a more cohesive way. I don't know. When I'm talking about all this, it's not really pertinent. But I guess it kind of relates in a way that I'm not easily influenced. Like, I'm uninfluenceable, so a lot of people get really excited, like, when they see influencers, and I've noticed now with the YouTube shorts, and these people look beautiful, and whatever they're doing is working, but at the end of the day, they're not even offering advice. Like, some people are like, oh, they have how-to videos, but they really don't. They just have, like, a couple short videos where they show making, like, a hair oil. with Rosemary or something. But there's other people that have in-depth tutorials on that sort of thing that have been on here for years that do lots of in-depth tutorials. Like, there's better videos, but those people aren't going to get the mega views because, let's be honest, like, influencers, sometimes they hire PR people. They're very invested in their image. And another thing, which some people complain about, they're like, oh, but so-and-so said something about how somebody has straight hair, and this doesn't work for curly hair. Why are they saying that all the time? I'm going to tell you, the mega big channels don't care because they love engagement. And they like that conflict in their comments because more people come and more people debate. And basically it was a 30-second video that didn't say much. It was just with a pretty woman who, yeah, she's doing great things with her hair, but she's not going to teach you anything about how to take care of your own hair. That's my opinion. So I'm not saying you can't learn things from other hair channels, because I think you can, but I think you have to take some of it with a grain of salt like everything else. Like, the more you eschew, like, all these social constructs that humans create, looking for the higher spirituality and purpose, you just don't care about those things anymore, and you just care about, oh, I want to grow my hair long for me, because it makes me feel good. I don't know. Read some of Rumi's poetry and do gentle hair care. Maybe that's better than buying a $50 product. I digress. But those are just my opinions on that. You know? It'd be more beneficial for your bank account. Like, you do not need a $50 hair oil. But you know who will benefit from that? That's another thing too. Like, I'm not going to go up against influencers. If they're doing well, good for them. They're very successful. I do like shorts, but at the same time, like, if a channel is just populated with entirely shorts and they never have like any kind of how-to video, it kind of tells you something about their brand. Like, they're not really there to like teach you something. But at the same token, I don't really think you need videos to teach you about hair care. Like, you can literally just research things, and the long hair community does have some good advice, but I don't take everything that other people say. Like, I just have always had my own intuitive ways. I think you need to get deep into your intuition and be like, hey, this is what works for my hair. And like, if somebody asks me, oh, what should I do with my hair? I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know what you should do with your hair. Like, don't yank a brush through your hair. Extend out your hair washes if that works for you, because then you have more time. I mean, and shampoo's expensive and you don't need to wash your hair like several times a week, maybe. Yeah, unless you have a scalp problem. That's really the only time. Like, those are just some key things. You can buy cheaper shampoo if you really want like a better, like, more eco-friendly brand. Buy one on Amazon and Sprouts. You don't need to spend $60 on a bottle of shampoo. So I don't really have anything against influencers. I just don't feel like I'm influenceable, because when I was younger, my mom like would always kind of point out, like, that's marketing, that's advertising. And I had teachers, really savvy teachers, like this one teacher's like, why are you guys falling for so much marketing? Like, this was during the heyday. Now you'll know my age if you're paying attention, in the late 80s, like when I was in 5th grade, like LA Gear shoes, that was like the big thing. And I lived in a community with a lot of affluent people where you basically would get teased for not riding an Arabian horse. Like, this is the weirdest stuff, or not having a boat. Weird stuff. Like, okay, like, first world problems, man. Like, that's what it was. But the teacher was like, why do you guys think LA Gear shoes are the best? And they, really looking back, they were okay, but they weren't even that great. And then I laughed because like 2 or 3 years later, they came up with dupes of like the LA Gear shoes at Payless. By the way, I miss Payless, because Payless used to have like the best shoes. They had the best shoes. Like, they would do dupes of everything. And I know people hate dupes, but if you can do a dupe well, I put water, like, in order to brush my hair. I put water into the brush, because that's a great technique. If you don't want to have a spray bottle, you just put water through the hairbrush bristles. And then you can take your fingers and you can kind of massage your scalp a little bit. Like a lot of little things. I don't do like the big routine. You see, I just do it intuitively. The intuition of hair care. It's kind of my thing. Anyway, I don't want to spend too much time on this because I could get lost just talking forever about hair care, my style. I guess my point is, you can watch influencers, but when you get kind of like mucked up, like, oh, I'm poor and I can't afford all these products, and some people are like, oh, I'm rich and I feel like people, or I have this and I feel like people who want that are taking away from me. I don't know, like this applies to everything really. I'm kind of trying to distance myself from that, because I feel like if we focus on our own plate, I'm not saying everybody's going to be a millionaire. That's not realistic. But if you focus on your own plate, you're focused on your own, like creating your own financial well-being, but just to enjoy life. Like my goal in this lifetime is, yes, I want financial well-being, but I'm not setting out to become like a multi-millionaire. Like I'm not setting out to have like a jet-set lifestyle. Like those aren't the things that at the end of my life will make me feel better. I don't need those things. I just want to enjoy my life and enjoy my time on earth and enjoy like looking at a ginkgo tree turning yellow in the winter in California. Things like that. I just don't need, like, I know there's a lot of things like, and there's nothing wrong with liking like trendy things, and you can like certain things, but I still think just be able to look at it and step away. You know, I don't know. Look at it and step away. You're not completely defined by what influencers are doing. A lot of it's marketing 101. I don't feel like you should feel like, oh, other people have more than you. Stop defining yourself by any of that. Start thinking about like your spiritual journey, your hair growth journey. They coalesce, things like that. Those are the things that I could recommend, because those are the things, well, that's just where my life is going. I know a lot of other people have their own ponderances, but a lot of it is plate lane life. Like you can, like I still will look at social issues and be like, oh, that's not good, this is not good. But when you want to do plate lane life, you have to be like, you know what? There's really nothing I can do about that. And if I put too much of my energy into that, it takes away from my ability to feel like more at peace and to have more solace. And it's just more of an introverted way of life. Like you kind of, like, well, here's an example. Like, I don't know, I was talking with my sister about this. Like, I have like a few friends that I talk to occasionally. I think the best friends I've had, honestly, were people that I knew in high school. Because, I don't know, they just, although one of my college friends, like, they reached out the other day. It's like people who, like, they have this loyalty and they have this kindness and they just really want to be your friend because they have a sense of warmth and feeling towards you that I have for them. But those aren't people that I need to hang out and go to social events with. I think very social culture wants to go on girls' trips, guys' trips. They want to be the life of the party. Like extroverted people need a lot of friendships in their life. A lot of I mean, they consider them friendships, but I would consider those more acquaintanceships. And they need a lot of that. Whereas for me, I don't really need a lot of that. Like I just want warm, caring, loyal people in my life that would go up to bat for me all the way every day, no matter what. Like they would drop what they were doing for me as I would for them, like loyalty friends. And I find that in some people, but mostly like my family right now, like I have a really strong relationship with my sister like that, because we were just talking about how in the past, like she had a friend where she did a lot of things for this friend, and then it turned out later on the friend didn't really appreciate things that she did for her to help her, like with her kids. Like she watched this lady's kids, like in a time when this lady didn't have anybody to watch him. She let them stay in her house. She fed these kids. Like she did all these things for the friend, and then later, like, I'm not gonna say exactly what the details were, and I don't know. I didn't really pay that much attention to it, but all I remember is that she had let this friend's kids stay with her for a few weeks, and then later on, she got mad just because my sister like didn't do exactly what she wanted, but she. So to me, like I feel like with family, this is what I've been feeling. Like I'm not exactly. My sister and I don't agree with everything, but we have like the same outlook on life. And my sister is a very warm, loyal, friendly, caring person, much more outgoing than me. But I just like that in people. I like people that have some warmth to them, and I think that's a good thing. Like to me, that's what I want in my life. Like I want warmth. Not everybody wants warmth in their life, but I want people that are consistent, people that don't easily get moody, or just people that are, I don't know, I'm just over like the era of like trying to feel like I need to be social. I'll be friendly, I'll be cordial, but I just don't need to be social. And once you hit a certain age, you're like, well, if you're an introverted person, you don't really need to pretend to be those things, because some people, they really need that stuff. Like they need a sense of community. They need that. And I'm not saying, like, I think it's good to be part of a community. There's nothing wrong with that. Honestly, I just would rather be cordial and more neutral and more detached from like I'll be polite, I'll be kind, but I don't need to get too involved in what other people are doing, because that will take away from my own plate lane in life. Like especially like if I'm thinking about Khalil Gibran and Rumi, like they weren't worried about like getting out there and socializing and being the life of the party. That's not what Khalil Gibran was about. I just want that. Like I want my more, like I don't know, just things that are more seeking solace, like understanding of God, things like that. Like those are my opinions on that. And this is not like I'm not talking about the people that stand outside of Walmart and try to get you to join their church, which is nice, you know. Nothing wrong with that. I think that it's great that there's people in the community that do that, and they help a lot of people in need. But I really, like, I don't know. I don't want to join like an organization or like a church group. Like I think my mom thought too. Like she thought, oh, that's a great way to meet people. Like you should join a church group. But I really don't want to, because I've just noticed throughout the course of my life, just because people go to church, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're more spiritually inclined people. Or I don't know, like there would just be a lot of things like with some Christian people where I thought like they would be talking like just about spirituality, but they had all these ideas that just didn't resonate with me. And I would rather read what Khalil Gibran has to say. I don't know. So for me, when I talk about spirituality, I'm not talking about like joining a group of people. Which, that's good. There's groups of people. They do a lot of good in communities. They help people, and I think that's wonderful. Like, there's a church group that does free dentistry for veterans. I'm like, that's awesome. I'm glad that those groups do all that outreach, because honestly, the VA does some things, but with all of our taxpayer dollars, especially, like, why are we sending money to other countries, period, like, Ukraine, Israel, Egypt, we should cut off all the funding at the base and focus on our own people, but our government doesn't do that. They don't do that. So I do commend like church groups that they help people. Like that's wonderful. I think that's great. So more power to them, but at the same token, I don't really want to join any of those groups because I just don't feel like you need a group to find your own spirituality, but those are just my opinions. I can't tell you how you should think, because everybody has like deeply different opinions about religion, faith, and everything. So yeah, everybody's so divided on this, and just like with hair, I feel like you need to find your own way. Plate Lane Live. I'll be right back. So, here's an example, like literally of Plate Lane life. Being a pedestrian in Southern California, when your community is starting to acquire LA level driving skills, and that's not a compliment. Like, I don't want to put down LA, but you always would fear for your life. I mean, and Ranch is kind of like that. It's level 2. The community I live with, and for some reason, they love to save money. Well, they've always been very good at this. They're very frugal, but I'm very good at walking in the dark. And people are like, how can you walk in the dark without a flashlight? Because most of the street lights are off. And if you ever see my night walks, I just want to show that. Some of the streets are pretty dark. There's a little bit of light. They're very, very faint. And we were talking about how Ranch Cucamonga the other day. We're like, that place is lit up like a Christmas tree year round. Like other cities are just bright. And we have very dimly lit, which is great. I guess they save a lot of money that way. You know, it's good. But I guess the benefit is I have really adapted my vision to walking at night, like without a flashlight. I don't think you need a flashlight to walk. And it seems like the city's getting darker, and I see more burnt out lights. I'm like, whatever, soon it'll be even darker. Maybe, I don't know. Who knows? Maybe some of those street lights have, I'm sure they've been changed recently, but all I know is it gets pretty ding dong dark. It's a little bit lighter when you cross the border into my city, because I walk from one city to another city, more like a suburban city really. They're not, but we're growing up population wise a lot. But yeah, here's an example of Plate Lane life. I'm thinking about drivers. Like when you walk, I know a lot of people live to road rage. When people cut them off, they get mad. They're like, hey, how dare you cut me off? And they want to kind of get in a little tussle and honk their horn and get mad behind the wheel. Well, as a pedestrian, you can't do that. You want to live when you cross California streets. And yeah, it's pretty scary. And I think about, well, I'm pretty fast and I can run across those intersections. And some people just saunter through the intersection, but honestly, I don't want to, because one time I had a walking light. I was crossing, and a car came within 3 inches of me. And I was like, oh my God, are you trying to kill me today? Like, I've said that out loud, but why? I thought, I need to control that. I need that word not to come out of my mouth, because they have hit people before, and I've never been hit, thankfully, but I could see it happening. But I think as a pedestrian, you just have to be very cool. Like and you need to jump back up on curbs, or to just wait for everybody to go. And this includes parking lots, like when you're walking and a whole bunch of cars are exiting from a parking lot, I just let everybody go. I don't even want to walk in front of one car, because sometimes I feel like, I don't know, they might beckon me, but sometimes I'm like, I let them go, because I'm not sure. Like, I just want to be as safe as possible. Like, some people want to get to their location as fast as possible, but sometimes I hold back. Even though I can walk fast, I don't walk as fast as some people, because I'm trying to stay safe. I'm not, like, trying to win some race with a car. Like, I'm not going to run in front of a car if I'm not sure. Like, even if they beckon me, I'm like, you're a little too close. I don't really... And maybe that's just me being too. So you kind of just have to really, like, let go of a lot of things. Like, you can't take things personally. And I feel like that's another thing. I don't really want to read the book, The Four Agreements, but some people are like, the book Four Agreements is so great. You should never take anything personally. Like, but I don't really like books like that because I'm just like, I'd rather be reading about history or something. That's my opinion. But, or I'd rather read a Rumi poem and find my own sense of solace. Like, that's how I like to work through things. So, honestly, I feel like at some point in your life, you just have to let everything go. Like, it might bother you for a second, but then you have to be like, focus on your own plate, your own lane, your own life. Who cares if people cut you off? Who cares? Like, yeah, they're not thoughtful. Who cares if somebody does this, that, and the other thing? Is it what you did? No, it's what they did. And that, I feel like, it makes a big difference. Like, when you stop worrying about, like, what other people did, and you start focusing on what you can do to make your life happier, it's plate, lane, life. Totally. I mean, I don't know. Like, these are just kind of my musings. I do know. I just don't feel like I need to compete. I know everybody's like, competition. Who am I competing with? I don't want to. And I know when I was in school, they were always like, you guys are in competition with each other, but a lot of people were like, we hate competition. I don't think you need to compete. Like, I know the free market wants people to compete, and even in socialism they compete too. But I'm kind of like I want to channel Rumi and Khalil Gibran. I really want to focus more within. I don't want to worry about what everybody else is doing all the time. I'm not saying I won't like read about history or social issues. I want to find a way to detach from it and be like, well, what they did didn't really have anything to do with me, and I shouldn't let that change how I feel, right? Because what they think is not what I think, and it doesn't make it gospel truth. And if it's a human, definitely not, because there's no human that's ever walked the earth that's a god. There's no human that's ever walked the earth that knows the truth, part and parcel. Nobody. And Rumi knew that. Khalil Gibran knew that. Like, you know what I love about Khalil Gibran? He kind of stuck it to like the clergy. And Nassim Taleb, he kind of does that too. Like, he is a reverend that way. Like, we don't, like, I think, I don't know what it is. Is it like a West Asian thing? Like, you don't put too much credence in, like, what a certain person says or does. Like, and I don't even want to be like them exactly. I'm just looking for, like, meaning beyond what people say meaning should be derived from, right? Does this have anything to do with hair? Maybe. Yeah, it does. Your spiritual journey can impact your hair growth. I feel like when you get in touch with just looking for spirituality beyond, like, what other people or groups or any group, like, says is the best thing, then you can start to focus within and not worry so much about, well, what they did and they wronged me and they did this, and, like, you gotta let things go. Like, sometimes you're just like, you know what, that bothered me a little bit, but who cares, because it wasn't me and that's not what I did, and I might not have felt good about it at the time, and it might have really hurt me, but don't spend too much time thinking about it. And you want loyalty people in your life. Like, to me, I want warm, loyal people in my life. Those, like, that's all I want. I don't need, like, a large group of friends, because I feel like the larger your social circle, like, some people are gonna have that faux caring component, but most people aren't gonna be like that. Like, I think about the story about this guy who, he was, like, very much a social guy. He went to everybody's, like, I don't know, engagement party, social events, the birth of their, like, you know, baby showers. Like, he would go everywhere. He would even get on planes to go see these people, do these things. Like, and it just seemed like he had the biggest social circle on the planet. Like, he must have had really good friends, is what you would think, right? Like his friends were really there for him. But when he got sick, okay, like he wasn't terminally ill, but he needed to go to the hospital. And his friend took him to the hospital. And all those other people that were his friends, he went to their social events. Where were they? They weren't there. Like, that's another thing too. Like, I feel like the smaller you keep your social circle, the better it is, because I just want a couple of people in my life that care about me, that would be there for me. I don't need to be the life of the party, because the truth about human nature is people do care about their own. They care about their own family, their own group, and people are very invested themselves. And there are some people that truly do care about other people, but a lot of people don't really vibe that life, including church leaders. Like, they wouldn't be driving flashy cars, wearing expensive clothing, and living that lavish lifestyle because they benefit. Not all churchy people are paupers, okay? They don't all live like Franciscan monks. Like, let's be real here. So, I feel like when you go to look for friends, you need to keep it tight, close. Like, you don't need... This is introverted me talking. I just don't think that you need a lot of people in your, like, social space, really. Like, less is more for me in that area. Like, but some people need a lot of friends, and I think more outgoing, more extroverted people need that. But more introverted people, we really don't need that. And I find that it just drains me, and it takes my energy away. Like, I don't really want to hear a lot of competing opinions on things, because after a while I can get kind of heated, and it would take away from, I don't know, reading an interesting historical article. Like, I'd rather read something about history than worry about what everybody thinks about this, that, and the other thing. And that's just how I've always been, really. But I'm really living that truth right now. And I think it impacts my hair growth because it's helping me just focus on my own life. I really don't want to worry about what anybody else is doing. You know? Does it matter what they're doing? Not really. If they're not hurting me and they're happy and they're swimming it up, let them. Because plate lane life, you know, just focus on your own plate, your own lane, and your own life. I'm a 12.